She didn't dump you because you were too soft. Please. She ditched you because you refused to be her personal sock puppet. You didn't beg, you didn't chase after the emotional scraps she tossed on the floor, and you sure as hell didn't play circus animal for her little drama games. And that made you dangerous. You walked in calm, confident, and worst of all, unbothered. For someone who gets high off emotional chaos, that's pure nightmare fuel. You weren't just another approval-starved lapdog. You were a man who knew his value, and guess what? That scared the hell out of her. You didn't feed her addiction to melodrama. You handed her silence. Brutal honesty. The kind that doesn't come with emojis or fake smiles. And here's the kicker. She didn't want love. She wanted control. She wanted strings to pull. But when she realized you couldn't be tamed, she ran. Not because there was no spark, but because you held up a mirror to her emotional toddlerhood, and she wasn't ready for the reflection. Now, let's cut the crap. This video's showing up in your feed because some poor soul actually hit the like button. So do your part, champ. Like, subscribe, and throw a sarcastic much love in the comments. Not for me. Do it for the algorithm. That's the only thing that gives a damn around here. Alright, enough foreplay. Let's get into it. Number 1. The blueprint of the shutdown man. Enter the guy who actually has his crap together wild concept, right? He walks in with a brain that works and a heart that isn't leaking all over the floor. He's not chasing skirts like it's an Olympic sport. He's not pretending to be something he's not. He's not playing 4D chess with your feelings because, get this, he doesn't need to. He just exists. Calm, real, unapologetically grounded. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why he gets ghosted faster than a bad Tinder date. See, in a society that treats emotional chaos like a kink, being emotionally stable is basically a sedative. The guy isn't needy, isn't insecure, and actually thinks showing up with honesty and clear intentions might mean something. Cute, right? But no, he brought peace to a woman who craves a war. He offered stability to someone who thinks love is just a series of heart palpitations and panic attacks. So of course she bolted. Not because he wasn't enough, but because his presence didn't feed her dysfunction. This isn't your average dude. You'll find him among men who've had their fill of clown shows, men who know what they want and aren't going to grovel for someone's half-assed attention. They don't drown in emotional quicksand because, plot twist, they actually prefer solid ground. But the world, oh, it still worships the chaos. So when a man walks in holding up the truth like a damn mirror, people flinch. Not because he's wrong, but because he's the reality check they've been desperately trying to avoid. Number 2, the shaky female ego. A woman with a fragile ego isn't out here hunting for love. Nope. She's after control, a personal puppet she can gas up, boss around, and make jump through flaming hoops just so she feels worthy. When she meets a guy who doesn't need her permission slip, who stays cool when she pulls her usual disappearing act, who doesn't flinch when she dangles affection like a carrot and snatches it back like a jerk, she loses her damn mind. Because that dude, he's unshakable. He doesn't grovel. He doesn't play her sad little games, and he sees her for what she is. No rose-tinted filters, just brutal, unfiltered clarity. He catches the subtle power plays hiding behind her flirty "elol" texts. He hears the venom behind that saccharine tone. That kind of awareness blows her queen of the castle fantasy to smithereens. A man like that. Trouble. Not because he's a villain, but because he's impossible to manipulate. Her fragile ego demands a patsy she can rattle, not a bear that stands his ground when she pokes. When she realizes she can't toy with him, she's left with 2 choices: grow the hell up or run for the hills. Spoiler alert, she bounces 9 times out of 10. But don't expect her to admit the real reason. Nope. She'll call him boring, too calm, or too tame. Translation? He saw through my bullshit and I felt exposed. And her ego? Yeah, it's got 0 interest in owning that reality. Number 3, the emotional chess game you sidestepped. She showed up armed to the teeth with a playbook thicker than a soap opera script. Meanwhile, you rolled in with one weapon, the brutal, ugly truth. While you were out here trying to build something real, she was busy testing your limits, pushing until she thought you'd snap like a cheap pencil. She ghosted your texts, flipped from sweet to ice queen like it was her job, not because she wasn't interested, but because she had to be the puppet master. You know, calling all the shots, keeping you dangling like a chump. But you didn't fall for it. You didn't chase the bait like a lost puppy. You stayed rock solid. That killed her little game. No groveling, no tiptoeing around her emotional mood swings, no desperate apologies for crimes you didn't commit, just steady as a damn rock. That's when she checked out, thinking, well, this is boring now. The problem? It wasn't you. It was that you refused to feed her fragile ego's hunger for control. You didn't crumble. You didn't blink. You didn't scramble for her crumbs like some sad scavenger. And that made you untouchable. You weren't just another guy trying to win her over. You were the guy who didn't need her permission to exist. In her little world, that's the same as being invisible. So she ran off, not to something better, but to someone way easier to jerk around. You didn't lose shit. You just refused to bow down. End of story. Number 4. Her rejection was her escape hatch. She didn't dump you because you were some disappointment. She bailed because sticking around would have forced her to grow the hell up, and she wasn't about to do that. You weren't just a dude. You were a damn mirror reflecting all her childish games and insecurities. You didn't feed her mind tricks. You didn't lose your shit when she ghosted. You didn't crumble when she yanked affection like it was some reward. And that scared the crap out of her. Because with you, there was no hiding behind snarky comebacks, no endless tests, no coy little power moves. She'd have to drop her favorite weapon, control. So she hit the eject button instead. But of course, she couldn't just say, he was too solid, too mature for me. No way. Her fragile ego needed a fairy tale, so she spun one no spark, bad vibes, too much, or not enough. Classic smoke and mirrors. Deep down, she felt something real, and that terrified her because she couldn't twist it, tame it, or leash it. Her rejection wasn't about your worth, it was her armor, a shield for her shaky little empire of control. And somewhere inside, she knows she pushed away the one thing she wasn't ready to handle. Now listen up, champ. You're done being her doormat, sucking up scraps and saying thank you like a trained puppy. Time to wake the hell up. Check the description. There's a digital book waiting. Why? To teach you how to be a challenge. Stop being her human welcome mat and put any woman in her place. No mercy, no whining. You'll learn to never bow your head again. And as a bonus, how to make her respect you, or better yet, how to not give a damn if she doesn't. The world doesn't give a damn about pushovers. Step up and set the damn rules, or keep being the sucker who takes whatever crap's thrown at him. Your move. Number 5. Rejection as her panic button. She didn't cut you off because you sucked. She ran because sticking around meant staring down her own hot mess, and she's got zero appetite for that drama. You weren't just some dude, no. You were a damn mirror showing every trick she couldn't pull off. You didn't swallow her manipulations like candy. You didn't lose your mind when she went radio silent. You didn't crumble when she turned the affection dial way down. And that rattled her bones. Because with you, she'd have to drop the act, the sarcasm, the games, the fake whatever attitude. She'd have to ditch her favorite relationship weapon, control. So what did she do? She ran like hell. But of course, she couldn't just say, he was too steady, too grown for me. No, her ego demanded a little fiction. So she spun the classic crap about no chemistry, or how you were too intense or too boring. Complete bullshit. The truth? She felt something real, and that scared her silly. She couldn't twist it, couldn't break it, couldn't shove it into her little box. Her rejection wasn't about you. It was her shield, her fragile fortress protecting whatever scraps of power she still clung to. And deep down, she knows she ran from the one thing she couldn't handle. Number 6, the push and pull trap. You didn't catch it at first, the way she dangled just enough crumbs to keep you hooked, then yanked them back the second you got too close. Sweet as sugar when you started pulling away, icy cold when you leaned in. Spoiler, it wasn't an accident. It was her damn strategy. For her, emotions are a weapon. She dishes out rewards when you play along, slaps you down when you don't. Every time you stuck around after being ignored, every time you tried to explain yourself after getting dissed, every time you tried to fix the mess, you lost. Not because she cared, but because she had you on a leash, molding you into a desperate approval junkie. For power, not love, control, pure and simple. And you wanted something real, so you wasted your time trying to figure her out instead of walking away. But every time you showed up with logic and calm, she turned the drama dial up to 11. Peace ruined her game. Clarity murdered her vibe. She needs guys chasing chaos, not men bringing order. The steadier you got, the harder she worked to make you feel like a joke. Till one day you finally stopped biting. You didn't play her game anymore. And that's when her punishments lost all meaning, because her rewards didn't mean a damn thing to you. You saw the pattern, you saw the trap, and you walked away not to make a statement, but to save your damn soul. Number 7, the moment she called you. Weak, but you weren't. It happened when you reached out straight up like a man, calm, clear, respectful. You asked if something was wrong, and what did she do? Slammed you with too emotional, too soft, too available. Classic? What she labeled as weakness. That was your biggest damn strength, the balls to face conflict without turning into a screaming lunatic. You didn't ghost, didn't throw tantrums, didn't stoop to her level. You just asked for the truth. For a woman addicted to drama, that's a death sentence. In her circus, guys don't talk, they chase. They bleed just to get a nod. But you didn't bleed. You spoke. You showed up steady, mature, and honest. And what did she do? Misread it all. Not because you were powerless, but because your power wasn't the chaotic mess she's addicted to. You weren't unstable. You weren't needy. You weren't broken. You were clear. You were solid. And that scared her enough to back off. She confused calm for weakness, emotional intelligence for desperation. But deep down, she knew better. She couldn't shake you, bait you, or make you grovel. And that made her squirm. You didn't lose her. She lost the one guy who'd hold her accountable without ever raising his voice. Number 8, her mask cracks when you go ghost. It's not when you send that last text. It's not when you try one last time to get through. Nope. It hits the moment you go silent and actually mean it. When you stop reacting, stop checking in, stop reaching out. That's when her world tilts off its axis. She thought you were just another ego satellite orbiting her drama planet. Sure, you'd crawl back eventually. Thought your silence was just a phase. But you didn't, and that blew her entire damn foundation to pieces. The power she clung to? Gone. The emotional leverage she used like a weapon? Useless now. She kept refreshing her phone, stalking your profile, waiting for you to break. But nope. You weren't playing some hard-to-get game, you were done. That silence, it's the ultimate game ender. You didn't explode, didn't throw insults, didn't chase like a loser. You just disappeared. Quiet, final, clean. And now, she's left stuck, replaying every word, dissecting every moment, haunted by the guy she couldn't crack. That's her punishment. You didn't yell, didn't grovel, didn't chase. You vanished. And the one who thought she was pulling the strings, she's now tangled in her own mess, completely alone. Number 9, detachment is your only play. You tried patience, you tried being real, you showed up like a damn adult, and what did she give you back? Static. Mixed signals, hot and cold. Validation followed by the cold shoulder. Lesson learned. This isn't about fixing her, it's about saving your own ass. So you detach, hardcore. Not the fake it till you make it nonsense. You're unbothered. You don't stalk her stories, wait for her texts, or waste brain cells wondering who she's with or what she's doing. You pull your energy back not to flex, but to survive, because staying in her circus means losing yourself. And you're not built to grovel or crack like a cheap phone screen. You detach. You rip your name out of her emotional soap opera. You stop trying to break through to someone who never had the brains or guts to meet you halfway. And in doing that, you reclaim everything she leached off you. Your time, your focus, your self-respect. You go quiet and dangerous, not because you're plotting revenge, but because you accepted the truth. She was a test you aced by walking away. You're not here to be her emotional lapdog or audition for her approval. You're here to build, and you don't build on chaos. You don't grow in someone else's mess. So no, you don't need closure. Your silence says it all. Your detachment is your final unbreakable word, and she'll feel that every damn day she tries to replace the one thing she couldn't tame you. Number 10, the flip. She figured you'd crawl back, thought you'd explain yourself, expected you to buckle under the silence. But you didn't. You ghosted not out of anger, not with fanfare, just vanished. Now, while she's stalking your old snaps at 2 a.m., you're rebuilding in the shadows. No thirst traps, no lurking on her stories, no crumbs. Because you've moved on, not just your body, but your mind and soul. And that's what's eating her alive. Not your words, not your rage, your lack of need. You used to beg for her time. Now she'd rather die than admit she's dying for your attention. But the train left the station. The guy she tested, toyed with, underestimated, he leveled the hell up. You're not explaining anymore. You disappeared without a bye because you owed her none. She thought you'd chase. Instead, you soared. Quiet, locked in, untouchable. While she tries swapping you out for weaker dudes to boss around, deep down she knows the truth. Nothing cuts deeper than silence from the man who could have had her and decided he didn't want her. You didn't turn cold. You turned invisible. And now the woman who pushed you away can't stop checking if you're still gone. She didn't ditch you because you weren't enough. She pushed you away because you wouldn't bow. You were too steady, too anchored, too real for her script. And that made you a threat. Because men like you don't chase, they choose. And when they stop choosing, they vanish. You gave her calm, she called it weakness. You gave her consistency, she labeled it desperation. But now, the silence she tried to weaponize against you, it's yours. Louder than any clapback you ever dropped. She'll never admit it, but she knows. The man she couldn't tame is the one she'll never shake. She'll keep moving on the surface, but deep down, she'll keep hunting for what you gave her without asking for a damn thing in return. And she'll come up empty, because you weren't just another guy chasing her chaos. You were the storm she never learned to ride. And now, you're gone. No goodbye, no closure, just distance. That distance, her wake-up call. Not because you hate her, because you finally picked yourself. And a man who picks himself can never be owned again.